You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there folks, Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. We are so excited you are here today. Happy New Year, and welcome to the first episode of 2024. Before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to our executive producer level patrons. Of course, my good friends and co-hosts, Mr. David Johns, Twice Diecast, and Dotson Man Diecast, as well as Donald Rashik, First and 64th Customs, Video Geek Productions, and we've given a special honorary executive producer role to Mr. Dane Self, who has generously spread his membership amongst a whole bunch of people, which is why our patron list is now so long. So a special thank you to Dane for gifting memberships, and that's a great way to support the show, and that's what pays for this tool that we're using right now to record this program, and the editing suite that we use, and all of that stuff. And as you may have noticed, my co-hosts are also supporters, which means we are all paying to be here. So, we appreciate you enjoying the free entertainment. If you find that model of entertainment to be oddly charming and want to throw a few bucks our way, you can hit the join button at the bottom of your screen, or by visiting diecastbreakdown.com, you can go to our Patreon page where you can support the show that way and gain access to some behind the scenes stuff from some of my builds, some other stuff as the channel grows. And you may have noticed we're posting a lot more on this channel, and that is because, and I will get to this in just a second, my co-hosts are now officially partnering as content contributors outside of Diecast Breakdown. And so you're going to be seeing posts from David and Mark, and shorts from David and Mark, and all of our shorts are going to be on display for the world to see. And we thank everybody who has been watching those and subscribing. And with that in mind, I want to introduce my co-host, Mr. David Johns. David, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good, Chuck. How the heck are you?
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Mark. We still haven't solved that.
This is Mark. I'm doing fabulous, Chuck. Fabulous.
Fantastic. Mark B is doing fabulous. And yes, he is working on extricating wayward zoom ins from his exhaust pipes last I checked. Yeah. So check the shorts for that. But we are not alone today. We are joined all the way from, now this is something I studied up on, and I'm not sure I'm right on it, but I know it's okay to say Netherlands. Is it okay to say Holland?
It's both fine.
It's both are fine. I know there's like some parts that are and some parts that aren't, but
no,
I'm not sure exactly.
It's both fine.
For you, it's both. All right. We have got Jo or Shores from Netherlands. He has Sjo-Cal. I'm just going to say it's Sjo-Cal Speed Toys. There's apparently pronunciations in Dutch that the American ear does not hear. So I apologize, and we're going to be doing our best to address the show in a proper way, but show on the show. But Show, how are you doing? Thanks for being on the show today.
Good evening. Well, good morning for you guys, I guess, by the way. I'm doing fine.
Fantastic. So for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about what Sjo-Cal Speed Toys is.
Well, very simple. Toys.
Yes.
It's a hobby that's spun out of control. I started making little diorama kits for my own fun, and then you can make more. And then I'm a graphic designer, so I love making boxes and instructions and stuff like that. So got bigger and bigger. But the bottom line is small diorama buildings for 1/64 scale cars.
Yeah. And they are fantastic. As some of you might have seen, I did a unboxing review and build of one of his kits, and it's a really interesting combination of realism and stylization when it comes to your kits. They have a very authentic look to them, but at the same time, there's a heightened element to them. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about where you got the inspiration for the design of your kits, and what your take is when it comes to replicating large things very small.
Well, inspiration. I collect Hot Wheels because I like the way they're still toys. You know, you had the 100% Hot Wheels, and now you have the, what is it called, 164 premium
Elite 164.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, so many details, and I don't really like that. I like the toyness of toy car. So that's what I want with my kids as well. To, you know, it's a background. It should have details to look cool and everything, but in the end, it's still kind of a toy. You know, I don't strive to get super realistic, high detailed stuff. So I like stylize that kind of thing. But it started with Hot Wheels, actually, with the Snake and Mongoose sets that you got.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought those, and I thought they should be on a drag strip. It would be cool. So I started building something with scraps that I had laying around. I got some stuff to... This was the first one.
Oh, wow.
It's really... I'm not sure if it's got a Hot Wheels Christmas tree. It came with a thing with a passing gasser or something like that.
Yes.
And
passing gasser.
Yeah. Which the car also like. And so from that, I started thinking like, I could make this nicer. And a friend had a laser cutter, so taught me how to do it. So I started making it. And the cool thing with a laser cutter, if you make one, you can make 10 or 20 or 100. You know, the file doesn't change. You can just knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of started with the first drag strip. And I made 20, I think, and took them to a convention in Belgium. And I sold them all. I was like, that's nice. Let's try it again and see what else I can do. And then came the barn, and then slowly started rolling. And just if I think it's a nice idea to have as a small building, then I'll try to make it. And a lot of ideas never get made because I lose interest, or they're too big or too complicated, whatever. And then, so yeah, that's kind of how it works.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors.
Hey, this is Larry Wood, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
Diecast Breakdown would like to thank Diecast Heroes Magazine for supporting this program. Diecast Heroes Magazine is the premier digital and print resource just for diecast customizers. Visit diecastheroes.com and see what the best customizers in the world are up to. Here's this week's small channel shout-out.
Gabby's Garage.
If you have a favorite Diecast channel with less than 700 subscribers and you'd like to see them highlighted on a future episode, email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The Diecast Media Network store is here. Wear your passion with pride, featuring designs from Diecast Breakdown, flying Valiant builds, plus unique designs inspired by diecast culture from Justin Ellis. Visit tpublic.com/Diecast Media Network now.
Hey, this is Chad Reed from Round 2, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
So it seems like, there'd be a real freedom in when you get that artistic license, you can make it however you want, and you're not bound by this has to absolutely look realistic. That's really interesting, because I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I really seek out those details. Yeah. But when you're a creator like you, I guess that is really freeing to be able to make it whatever aesthetic you want. And it is refreshing to hear somebody kind of celebrate the playability of the Hot Wheels. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my day job is graphic designer, and I do work for clients and whatever they want. So, I mean, put on my own stuff, but the client pays for it, so they decide. With this, I can do whatever I want. And plenty of people say, oh, you should do this, make this building or make a garage like that. And most of the times it's like, yeah, I could do that, but I don't feel like it. So I'm going to do something different instead. And I like pushing the details that you can do with a laser cutter. And you can do much more than I do, but like you say, I take the freedom to, have some fun with it and then just leave it at that.
Okay. Very cool. No, I appreciate the fact that you have a lot of detail, but it is simplistic. Like for someone like me who likes to go in and have a more blank canvas to work with, it was really great because I could go in and add details as needed as much as I wanted to or didn't want to. I wasn't limited by, oh, well, if I had to do this, I'd have to cut this piece off, or he only did it so it could go this way. Like the kit that you sent me, I appreciated that you could do the door on either side. There was some versatility to it, and then the rest of it was this blank space. Like there was basic patterns in the floor and patterns on the wall and stuff, but I had all this room that I could be like, oh, I want to put posters here, or I want to put a shelf there, or I want to have this and that. And you've got this new one, it's Pete's Body Shop. Yeah. And I'm curious, who's Pete, and where did the idea for the body shop come from?
Yeah. Well, before I go into that, I saw your review of this Japanese set, I think. Mm-hmm. Lights in it and the Tamiya store in it. It looked really cool.
Oh, yes. I believe it's Chinese, but it's,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what you can build those and then you're done. And that's why my kits are also not pre-painted or anything. Because I want people to make their own kit, their own building, and that's what I love so much to see online. People adding trees and dirt or flags or bright colors. People can really make your own diorama for your own collection. So that's why I keep them like this. So Pete is his wife calls him Peter. His company is called Peerwood, and he's the guy he's doing all the laser cutting. He's a fellow Hot Wheels collector, and he was doing it at school. He works at a school, and with 10 kids, no problem. In the lunch break, we could turn on the machine, and then at some point, kids came in. He was like, oh, yeah, you have to wait because I'm still cutting these products. So he bought his own machine at some point, and so he's doing all the laser cutting. I design everything, send the file to him, and he's doing the cutting. And when I started this kit, I thought, it would be nice to have a garage thing. Like, oh yeah, Pete, maybe I should do something for him. So it became Pete's Garage, and he has a couple real cars, but they're mostly in parts. He's not really building anything, it's more like a body shop because just empty shells. So that's where I got the name Pete's Body Shop. And that's also why in the box there's a very small laser cutter that you can
fun.
put on the inside.
Cool. Yeah. So you're still bumming off his laser cutter?
Yeah, well, no, I'm paying for it.
Of course.
Basically, I paid off for his laser machine that he uses for everything, and
yeah, well, I'm sure he loves that. So
yeah, well, it's a great deal, I just sent him the files and pay a flat fee, and he's sending the stuff back to me, and he's doing all the, when the machine breaks down, he has to fix it, and when there's stuff like that, I don't have to do that, and that's nice.
Yeah, I know the one of our previous guests on the show, Chris over at SK75 Works.
Oh yeah.
He has all his stuff is in house, and he had like several machines break at once, and he was in trouble because he was the whole team. He didn't have anybody that could be like, oh well, I'll fix this while you continue working on the thing, and he was down for a while. Like it seemed like 6 months because he couldn't get the machines back working. We see these kits coming out of the Netherlands, the UK. There's, the ones like you mentioned coming out of China and Japan. And so it's interesting to me that there's not a US version of you doing this. Like there's nobody I can really think of. There's a few that do very simple kits, but nobody's really doing it at your level or at Chris's level, or certainly not at like a G-Fans or a Magic City level that's doing the more mass produced acetate, cheap ship from China type stuff. It's just, I don't know if maybe it's because, in the US it's so easy to get cars that people don't think about how to display them as much. And, maybe because it's a little harder to get cars in Europe, in certain parts of Europe. I know, like, we have Rapid Nismo talks about all the time. He's in England and he has a terrible time finding Matchbox cars, which sounds crazy because that's where they're from. But, so I don't know if maybe it's just that there's a different value in the displaying of the cars culturally. That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a real difference between that. There's this Hot Wheels meeting in Holland every year, and the last time I was there selling my kits, I hardly sold anything. While it's a room filled with diecast lovers, but if you have to choose between, am I going to buy this car or those two cars, or am I going to buy that kit? That's you buy the cars, and I think that hobbyists like you, Chuck, you love to build this stuff, and also the other diorama kits that you have. So people like you, they will buy it and
sure,
play it, and maybe somebody like David says, okay, diorama, nice, unbox it, put it in the cabinet, add some cars, done. You don't want to go through all the hassle, and if you want details, then so what I sometimes say is that people who build hobby trains or model trains, what do you call that?
Model railroads.
Yeah, they are used to buying houses and trees and, building everything as realistic as possible. Diecast collectors, they want a cool car. They don't build a whole city or anything.
The desire is different, I think, for a lot of people. In the US, it's very popular for even like the people on Etsy that are doing the handmade, like the people that have laser cutters here. What they're making is they're making these large racks that kind of display the cars on either a flat angle or a 3/4 angle. So they're kind of sticking out, which is actually really cool. And so it's a way to showcase like just the cars and instead of a city type thing. And that's a good point. It's always been frustrating to me. Like, for the first time this year, we're going to say the thing. David, say the thing you always say
about it being the best time ever to collect diecast.
Boom.
We're in the golden era.
We're in the golden era of diecast. Because I remember the dark times when it was like, well, if you wanted to find a building that to display your cars, you either had to just pretend that the 187th scale HO kit was like, oh, it's a small house, or it's set in the distance. Or
all the figures that just didn't fit.
Just not quite. They're not quite big enough, and it's so frustrating. And there's plenty of model railroaders I've seen that will cheap out because 187th scale cars are expensive here. They're not cheap. They're significantly, like, they're usually 4 or 5 times as expensive as a standard Hot Wheels car, for one. And so they'll cheap out and they'll put 164 scale cars on their model railroads, and it looks ridiculous.
Looks weird.
It's just weird, and vice versa. So you're right. I think it might be more of a what is the goal of your collection? Well, the goal of a diecast collector is to show off their cars, and the goal of a model railroader is to display their model trains in as realistic a setting as possible. And I think it's kind of interesting that as the technology gets better and 3D printing and laser cutting become lower cost of entry, you can buy a low-end laser cutter here in the US now for about $300. and get started and learn. You probably wouldn't be able to go into business with it because it won't last very long, but it would, but you could learn on it. 3D printers are down to, $250 to $300 for a resin printer that will do very detailed, prints in whatever scale you want.
Yeah.
And so it's, as David says, there's never been a better time to be in the hobby, and it's so cool that there's folks like you out there making this stuff happen. And I want to go back to the graphic design thing a little bit, because your box work is an art in and of itself. You've got this amazing, it reminds me of the old vintage Revell and Monogram and Aurora plastic kits of the 60s and 70s. And I wanted to talk about recreating that. Like, what was the process like for you when you realized the kind of style that you wanted to have for your box art?
I don't know. I love those old boxes. And now you mention it. The logo that I use is from the Monogram model kits. I made a paper model. You could cut it out and fold it off the Hot Wheels school bus, the heavyweights car.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a Tom Daniels design. Do I say that right?
I believe so. Yeah, Tom Daniels.
Yeah. And for Monogram. So I made a print for that, and it all looked nice and had the logo on it. And then I changed the Monogram to Showcal, and that's why it says quality model. Not sure if I can say the last word, but
yes. Yes, there's some very cheeky wording in some of your box art.
So, and I think I started, searching for box art, and then found all these fantastic looking boxes. And was like, oh yeah, let's try that, and pick those colors and shapes, and can I add little details and things, and so yeah, things like that start with an hour online collecting images and cool stuff, and then picking out colors and fonts and whatever, and then playing around.
I just love it because it's something that is totally unnecessary, but you did it anyway, and it just looks so good. And it does this, it adds this extra feel to it when you get it. It's just like, oh, this is a real, like, trip back in time, even though nothing about this is actually retro or vintage or anything like what I would have built as a kid. But it's got that feel that I think I said it's like you're getting an experience in a box when you get it. Like you open it up and there's the beautiful instructions, and they're all folded very professionally, and you've got the artwork, and there's like little cartoon characters of the Sjo-Cal team or whatever.
Yes.
And
it's from an old Corgi thing.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, okay.
I steal a lot.
Nah. All the best artists do.
It's the same with Hot Wheels cars. You could pack them in a little plastic thingy. But put them in a blister on a big card with a cool artwork on it. And, you have a hard time. Well, I open all my cars, but, sometimes like, oh, damn, it looks just too good. I want to, don't want to keep it. I'm not collecting cardboard. So I do collect cardboards. I keep a lot of cards that I like. The cards are in the collection, but I understand. I recently, there's Mark's collection of cardboard. I recently did the heartbreaking thing of throwing out all of the extra display cases and boxes and all the little cardboard boxes that come with the nicer Matchbox cars and Majorette cars and stuff. And I was just like, you're never going to do anything with these. Why do you have boxes of them? Especially like M2, which come in these plastic, they got a clear plastic case and a base. And I had just like 2 milk crates full of these plinths and cases. And I was just like, you're not going to do anything with these, and nobody wants them. So I recycled them. The people who like to get their cars out of the containers, you got to do something with them, or do what I do and shove them in boxes and
put them in the closet and go, yes, I will customize this someday. Terrible about that. But I am trying to be better about celebrating my collection. I actually put up a display case recently, and I'm excited to build more of these kits so I can have kind of rotating displays of my customs that I make.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
This episode of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by you. That's right. We are 100% viewer and listener supported, and we are so grateful for those of you who have already supported the podcast and the shows we're planning to add to the Diecast Media Network family. You can find out more about how to support this project by visiting diecastmedianetwork.com or email us about sponsoring an episode at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com.
Hello, this is Diecast Dude from the Netherlands, and you are watching Diecast Breakdown.
This presentation of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by Twice Diecast and Dots and Man Diecast on YouTube. Please visit their links in the show notes and subscribe to their channels for more epic Diecast content.
Hey, this is Champion DJK, and you're watching Diecast Breakdown.
And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
So speaking of the distribution aspects, I know that you're in Tom's over there. Where else are people able to buy your kits from?
So let's see. So, yeah, Tom's is selling them in the Netherlands and also as a wholesaler in Europe. And in the US, there's TJ Diecast, Modelmatic in the UK. There's some German stores. Model Autos Dresden. Hope I say that right. And Scale 164 since a short time. And what else?
Pianos Mali?
Yeah, that's a Finnish guy from Finland.
I'm sure I nailed that.
Yeah. Sounded
I always
I just got it pulled up here. Yakel.se. What is that Serbia?
No, that's Sweden.
Sweden, okay.
They you had Paul his Diecast Garage. He was the first guy who ever started selling my kits. And he's in Sweden, and he stopped his shop and sold everything to those guys, to the Yakel. I think they're pretty big over there. Yeah. And in Europe, there's a lot of, big shops and smaller people selling on eBay or Facebook, and there's a lot going on. So sometimes, I find them, email them like, hey, I'm selling this. Maybe it's something for you. And sometimes they contact me like, hey, I see your stuff and I want something. So any American shops out there, let me know.
Yeah. And then the good news is, if you're watching this overseas, Sjo-Cal has a list of all the retailers.
Yeah.
So
and there's probably more that I don't know of, but these are shops that order from me. And
maybe House of Cars will.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. House of Cars is opening up stores all over the U.S. They would have the scale to bring over something like that. So that's definitely something that we need to bring up to Freddie and the gang over there.
Well, we can talk about it after the show, maybe, and then
sure. Yeah, we'll
hook me up.
We'll put you in touch because
cool.
I think these things have a lot of great potential, and for me, I love having more things to do with my cars than not. Like, I love that there are board games that you can play with these. You can race them, you can put them on a shelf, you can smash them on a track, you can build a display and show them off. Like a little scene. And so I think the more this stuff gets out there, the better it is for our community as well, because it attracts more people, which drives more interest, which means more cars get made. So it's really interesting to see it come together, and I really appreciate you doing what you do.
I really like the looks of the dioramas. I appreciate what you're doing because it's got form of artwork to it. It's not easy to put something like that together. But I just really wanted to talk to the viewers for a second here. And because I've been going through this myself, I've got hundreds of loose cars. Like Chuck, David, you probably have a lot less than hundreds because you've scaled back, but I'm trying to scale back as well. But there's all these cool cars that you have, like this Hot Wheels RWB. I've got all these, mini GTs, and I've really been wanting to do something display wise with them. So I would encourage people to try, like, this year, 2024, to try buy one diorama, whether it be a cheap one, to try it out and see if you like it. You don't have to go spend a ton of money, but just try it out, and then you can get some from Show. If you like them, you can buy the nicer stuff, or you could just buy directly from him and see if you like it. But it just, baby steps to, I want to buy some of that stuff and just kind of set it, like make little displays on the wall and everything. Cause I kind of get sick of like having my diecast spread out everywhere, and I don't really get to enjoy them that much when it's just kind of a mess. So if anything, it's like an organization thing to where you can take his artwork and make it into your own artwork, take his diorama and then put it up on your wall, and then make your own little scenes and make it however you want it. Because I think Hot Wheels is doing the box sets that they sell. They're like dioramas, but they're cheap.
Yeah.
It's like,
right. Well,
throw it away.
And they're a little too stylized. They don't, the play sets themselves don't actually look like anything. And the Matchbox City things, like, they might be fun for like your tuned cars, but they don't really, look like anything realistic.
You've got the Fast and the Furious house and stuff like that. So I think it's
but those are
becoming
small,
a thing.
But yeah.
I think it's becoming a thing. I think it's nice that some of those, companies are doing that, but you can do that yourself with all your cool cars. You don't have to go out and buy some set that you're really not going to use. You're not going to display it because it's cardboard. It's just, you're going to throw it away like I do. I just encourage everybody this year to maybe scale back a little bit on buying so many cars and just focus, like we're always talking about, like quality, not quantity. Because we've all been there where we've bought, like, I used to leave Walmart with at least 20 cars every time I went in.
Sure.
But now I can go to Walmart, I can look through cars and leave with 0, like, no problem. Because I'm like, there's nothing that's really I have to have. Because it becomes an obsession to just like grab everything that you kind of like and throw it in the cart and spend a bunch of money. So if we all just kind of focus a little bit more on the cool cars that we already have and put them in a different setting, then I think you may just find yourself buying less cars too, and just spending more on some cool artwork.
Give guys like Show that are putting out really quality stuff and creative stuff. Mattel doesn't need another $1. I hear you, Mark.
They're doing fine.
Yeah.
Hey, so real quick, do your models, just for clarification, do your models all come unpainted, or do people have the option of having a more finished product?
No.
Okay, so it's all unpainted.
It's all unpainted, and I've been looking into pre-coloring stuff, but way too much work, and that doesn't work out.
Keep the cost down.
Yeah, I try to keep the cost down as much as possible. Adding stickers or paper door is fun in a way. But some people really don't like stickers, so they throw them, they don't even use them, they throw them away. Doors to lock a garage, if the door is locked or closed, then you won't see the cars on the inside. So most people don't even use that.
Right.
Yep.
It's nice to put in, but maybe I shouldn't, because it will save us some money again. So I try to keep the cost down, and like what Mark said, I like to build my kits in a way that you can turn it into anything you want. You want to turn this into some Porsche garage, do it. But if you're more like a Nissan guy, you could turn it into a Japanese thing,
Sure.
Or if you want American muscle, no problem. You can put your own logos on it and flags and whatever. So
sure.
I could make like a Ford garage, and then, well, it's a Ford garage. And if you like Chevy, then you're not going to buy it. So that's why I keep it as open as possible for people to, to have fun with it, and not too big. I mean, sometimes you see these huge dioramas. Where do you put them?
Sure.
That take up a lot of shelf space.
Right.
So I try to keep them compact and also with enough space to see your cars. Like a
Sure.
closed building is nice, but it's not about the building; it's about the cars with the building.
Right.
So
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting point because, like, there is a company in the U.S. that does do laser cut building kits, but they're focused on model railroads, and they do S scale, which is 1/64 scale kits, and they're really nice kits. They're considerably more expensive than yours, even with the shipping, but they are very nice kits. And the problem with them is, I love the kits, but you're right, they take up a large footprint, and we need these to be able to go on a shelf so that we can have it on the shelf and display the cars and have it look realistic. And something that the model railroad community has done that I think is really smart is they have it's actually a designation called flats, and they're buildings that are supposed to go against the wall, the back of the thing, but they aren't really flat. They come out about an inch, maybe 2 inches, a couple centimeters, just to give that extra illusion of depth. And so I would love to see more kits like that, where there's a lot of garage kits out there. There's a lot I noticed you've got one that's called like an exclusive one called like the Spring Show or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That is more like a house type setting. You've got one that's more like a building front. That's an exclusive one for another place. So I think those kind of kits are something that I would love to see more of personally, because it gives you that setting. So maybe if you wanted to have like a back alley wall setting or some kind of loading dock or houses or a street scene with buildings that have record stores or grocery stores or that sort of thing, and have that stores available. Exactly, the little diecast stores. With that in mind, what's on the horizon for Sjo-Cal Speed Toys? What are some of the things that you would like to do that maybe you're not ready for yet, or things that you would like to gear up to get to be able to do?
Production wise, I want to try to be a bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm printing a lot of boxes in one go to keep the cost down, which means that I have 500 boxes that I need to fill and sell to get my money back. So I would like to be able to, because with a laser cutter, you can do small runs pretty quick. So if I have an idea, like you just said, like more like a back wall building, I can do that. Maybe make 20 with a simpler box. And if they sell, okay, we can do more. If they don't, okay, done. I would like that bit more flexible on that. But what I'm really want to start working on is an idea that Mr. Groove's photography, I should say that right. He did the photographs of my last kits. And if you know his work, then you might get an idea what we were planning, because he sparked some idea and it's completely different and a bit more action style. So I won't go into many details because I don't want to spoil my own fun.
Just a teaser.
Yeah. Well, check out his work, Mr. Groove's photography. That's a hard name to pronounce. And we're going to work together on something. Going to be a small kit. And it's going to be fun, I think. It's a nice technical challenge for me, but nice, fun way to display any car you like. So it's coming up.
Nice. Very exciting. So where can people find you and follow you and be ready for when that news drops?
Sjo-Cal Speed Toys in my Instagram account. That's what I use the most for any promotions. The website is also there, but I, need to update it every time. Like, I got something new. Let's do that. So Instagram is really the place to follow me and see what is coming.
All right, excellent.
Could you foresee a time when your process is maybe more efficient or streamlined or whatever, where customers could do maybe like a commission or any kind of customized diorama that they request from you? Is that maybe a possibility in the future?
Could be. I mean, I can do it, but time-wise, it's pretty. It's going to be very expensive.
Sure.
With the kits I'm selling now, I'm not taking my design hours into account. So, it starts with a sketch, and then on the computer I start designing it, and I make a prototype, and it doesn't fit, so I have to change it to make a new prototype, and and then I don't like it, and I look at it, and like, maybe this. So it takes a lot of time for me to get it right. So I could do a commission, and but yeah, I'm afraid it's going to be pretty expensive.
Yeah, no, I ask because I'm sure customers are going to ask that. So it'd be good to have that expectation out there. When we get a price as reasonable and as fair as you offer, sometimes we overlook all the work that's gone into it.
Yeah,
up and to get it to that point. So
yeah, sure.
That helps to understand that.
Yeah, like the guy from Wetworks you had on the show before.
That's right.
Yeah, he's doing also custom.
He does customs,
displays, and it's a ton of work, to get it right, and then customers always want something different. So no, that's a nice thing. I have my client work in design, and here I can do whatever I want, and see what works or not. So it's I love that.
That's fantastic. And we are really excited for you. I'm sure 2024 is going to be a very exciting year for you, and we wish you the best of luck with this. Again, I really appreciate your time being here today with this show. And again, folks, we'll link to your stuff in the show notes and the description. So folks, while you're down there punching the likes and subscribes and bells, hint, hint, make sure you check show and see where you can buy the stuff, because you can't actually buy the stuff from your site, right? You only direct to places that that will sell it. Yeah, because that's shows at home, man. Don't bother him at home. He's busy making the kits. Go to the people that are selling the kits.
Email me, and I will forward to the right shop or whatever.
So, and I've reached out to TJ's, and I'm going to probably be buying my next kit through them. I bought my first one through Tom's because I wanted to buy something from Tom's to say that I did. And so my next one will probably be from TJ's. But check it out. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, all that good stuff. And again, thank you, Show, for being here, and thank you for making it to the end of another episode of Diecast Breakdown. Again, I want to thank our patrons, especially Twice Diecast, That's the Man Diecast, Donald Rashik, First and 64th Customs, and Video Geek Productions. And of course, a special thank you to Mr. Day himself for all the generosity that he has had for this channel. And the rest of our patrons and supporters and members who keep the lights on, make it so that we can do this show more or less every week, give or take. We had some time off. We had some time to recharge and do a lot of really cool stuff. So you're going to be seeing a lot more really cool stuff on our channel. So make sure that you hit that bell so you don't miss a single thing that we do, because there's going to be a lot of diecast action in 2024, and we're going to be along with you every step of the way. So as always, we want to thank you for coming along with us for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thanks for listening to Diecast Breakdown. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend to listen in. Find Diecast Breakdown on your favorite social media platforms, or visit diecastmedianetwork.com to learn more about this and our other projects. Diecast Breakdown is a presentation of Flying Valiant and the Diecast Media Network.